At the wrong window.
We're live.
Off to a flying start.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right, now we're officially live. Welcome, everyone, to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of your hosts. To my right is a man who definitely did not commit serial murders on Long Island, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I am not an architect, so there's that.
Thank God for that.
But yeah, you caught me bobbing my head to the theme song. I'm ready to go tonight. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Doing good. I'm feeling pretty good. I mowed my lawn this evening. Want to wait till the temperatures went down to do some yard work and showered up and all cleaned up. Got dinner in me. Watched a little bit of my buddy Drew's show, In for Out Sports Debate, which I was on actually a couple weeks ago. I was on his show, but want to check it out tonight before we went on. So I'm fired up, and as you can see, I'm got a new mic this weekend. So got my Hyper X. So gonna have some fun with that tonight. But anyway, we are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. Before we get into the content tonight, I just want to remind you about our social media channels right down here below: Twitter, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. And while you're at it, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor. Smash that like button. Smash it responsibly. We're also on a mission to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. We're at 267 right now. If you could help the show and subscribe, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you know when new shows are up. We're usually live Mondays at 8 o'clock Eastern. But just to remind you, NFL football season is coming very, very soon. We're moving to Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So don't want to miss it.
Yeah, definitely tune in. We're going to have a lot to say during the football season. And don't look now. We just might have some football talk a little bit on the show tonight. It's been a bit since we've gotten a chance to dive into football talk. But man, help us get to the 500 subscribers. I'm going to call it right now, the Drive for 5. Come on, help us get there.
Drive for 500.
Yeah, that's what we'll have to do.
On the audio side, subscribe to the podcast on a myriad of platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Tune in wherever you podcast. Subscribe to us, and while you're at it, rate and review. 5 stars is always the preferred number of stars to rate us at. And if you leave us a review, no matter how lovely or how mean-spirited and ugly it is, we'll read it on the air. And because this is a live show, engage with the show, engage with the comments. We actually have one already from my buddy Victor Locke, as we call him, Victor Law. in the Snowman Army. Time for bonus of the International Irish Italiano Supervillain Espresso McCarthy. How you doing, gentlemen? McCoffee, excuse me. Victor, we're doing great. Thanks for stopping by. We really do appreciate it. But Dustin, I know you've been waiting all 7 days to hear that beautiful, beautiful sound.
I have.
Gotta hit you with it right now.
Oh man, I can't wait.
And as I said, engage with the show. Whether you're watching live right now or on the replay, leave us a comment. We want your comments. We want you to engage with us. It's just a way that of letting people know that we're out here. We're out here in the YouTuberverse, internet, the internet, which is vast. But we're here. We're talking sports. We're talking in this summer. We're talking sports movies. So let's get into it right now with another edition of No Ticket Required. All right, Dustin, this week I made the I wouldn't say executive decision, but we're looking for movies to go by. We're wanting to watch American American Underdog. American Bulldog. Good Lord.
That would be a good movie.
That would be a good movie, American Bulldog.
Yeah.
But we were gonna watch American Underdog. We texted back and forth. Oh, American Underdog.
Yeah.
You messed it up. American Underdog is on Hulu. I'm like, all right, cool. It's on Hulu. Great. I go to Hulu Live only on Fox movies. Like, dang it.
Yeah.
Dang it.
You know, the internet got me every once in a while, and there used to be an app, and out there in the Twitterverse, if you're listening to the show later, tweet at me and let me know. There used to be an app called Can I Stream It? And you would type in what you want to watch, and it would pop up with whatever. Is there something like that, or does Can I Stream It still exist? Yes, I could do a Google search.
I just did the research, and yes, it does. It's canistream.it.
Okay. All right. So they changed.
Oh, you got to sign up for it.
See, I knew there was a reason that I wasn't using it anymore, but
there you go.
Yeah, if anybody knows of a replacement that is free, get at me on Twitter at eldusto67, or tweet Ryan, or tweet the show at NoCredsREQ.
That's right. Down here below on Twitter, NoCredsREQ. So instead, I did some research, and I was looking at movies, and we both had the HBO or Max app or whatever it's called now, and I saw King Richard was on the streaming service, and I thought to myself, all right, I'll pass it by Dustin. We'll see what he thinks. I made a huge mistake.
Oh man! All right. I'll let you open this up, sir, because I think I've gone first to the last couple of movie reviews. So let me here.
It's 2 hours and 20-something minutes. I will never, ever, ever, ever. Shout out Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little bit of the bubbly.
I love the bubbly. I gotta see if they still make that.
You could tour with Fozzy based on that impression. If Chris Jericho ever gets laryngitis, you should call Fozzy up.
Yeah, a bald fat guy with no tattoos. I'll put on a wig and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, look, King Richard, based on a true story. Good movie. Had some really good action sequences, but it just dragged on forever. And I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen, like the next good thing to happen. It's like, okay, great. It overcame living in Compton. Mm-hmm. The family overcame living in Compton. Look, Will Smith won an Academy Award for this movie.
Yeah, this was the movie before the slap, wasn't it? Like, right? He was nominated. He slaps Chris Rock, and then he wins Best Actor, and he's not there.
Yeah.
I think this is the one. I think I should probably research before I start spouting off. But then we wouldn't have the great moments in the history of the show, such as
True.
the Frank Wycheck Sam Weiss moment. Let's see.
And the sex bot chat.
Yes. Oh man. All right. Let me.
But look, Will Smith won an Oscar for basically sounding like Bobby Boucher's dad at the end of Waterboy.
Okay, I'm glad that
I'm not the only one who thinks
I'm
this.
glad that you mentioned something because when he first started this,
I'm
he
your
was
daddy.
he was really going in on it. And they did, and I specifically stayed through the end credits because I was like, okay, they're going to show the real Richard Williams because I want to hear this dude talk.
And he sounded
based
nothing like Will Smith's
when
character.
Will Smith is like, I'm going to Wake. He goes, I'm going to Wake. I have in my notes written down here. It said, not sure what accent Will Smith is doing here so far. New Orleans? ? Turns out I was right about that.
Yep.
But Will Smith, I would have respected it more. And I'm not saying he didn't do a good job in this movie. Full disclosure, I'm not the biggest fan of the entire Smith family. I find them insufferable, but Will Smith can act. That is undeniable, okay?
True.
But I found the accent drifted in and out. Like he could not keep going with it the whole movie. I think maybe because he went in so hard, at certain points, and you're just like, man. But I originally was gonna, if you had asked me for my thoughts first, I was gonna be like, this movie's got some accents in it. Because let me tell you who else is pulling out a heck of an accent. Jon Bernthal. So I was like, what are you doing?
He still has like Midwestern accent.
Yeah.
And I looked up Rick Macy online during the film, and I was trying to find out which accent he's going for. Like, where is he from? He's from Ohio.
Oh, okay.
All right. Like that Midwestern, like half Wisconsin, half
maybe
Ohio
like a little
accent.
bit of like. Yeah, maybe like a little bit of Pittsburghese in there. I don't know. Like
I was waiting for him to say, "Go to the girl, get yourself a brat."
Richard, you can have anything you want. You can have anything, any burger.
Just don't have too many fries; it'll make you fat.
Yeah, don't put too much of that stuff in your body.
You'll slow down your game. Did you also notice that Bernthal's wig did not move at all? Like his hair did not move at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Look, I know this is a drama, but we're roasting. We're kind of roasting it, but it was a decent movie. It was just on forever. So I had to kind of dunk on it. Dunk on a very, a true story, which turned into a drama. But there were some funny moments in it too. I mean,
yeah. There definitely were some funny moments. But I just felt like, so I'm gonna ask you, because you've been able to give some thoughts so far, but I'm gonna ask you. Okay, we've done No Ticket Required 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
How would you rank the movies that we've done?
Air first, Moneyball second, King Richard third.
See, for me, I got to flip flop those last 2 because this movie was long. This movie was long, but I felt it dragged less. I felt it
interesting.
It still dragged at points. It definitely still dragged at points, but maybe it was because, when I do No Ticket Required, it's not good for my waistline, but I got to be eating something. The first 2 movies, it was popcorn. This movie, it was chocolate cake. There was a little bit of leftover cake I had. I was eating that. And
see, you follow my instruction and getting some sugar in you.
Yeah. But I have to say, I felt Moneyball's drag was more noticeable to me. This was long, but I think I was more on board with what they were trying to show, and they were just really. I have written in my notes that this movie reminds you how good Venus really was at the beginning. Yes. Because, and I'm guilty of it, I remember Venus Williams, but the person I remember a lot more is Serena, because she was around for so much. in my mind, so much longer. Now, I can't remember when Venus Williams retired, but I felt like Serena had almost an entire career after that.
Yeah,
You know,
she had a longer career than Venus did.
yes. And whether this is true or not, supposedly Richard predicted that Serena was going to be the greatest of all time. I will say that in my relatively uneducated tennis mind, I would say Serena is probably the greatest women's player of all time. But my main problem with this movie, aside from some of the accents, which I did get some enjoyments from, Richard was a hard character to root for. I rooted for the Williams as a family. I thought he did the first coach totally wrong. Like the first coach, I felt truly did have the best interest. The mistake the first coach made, if this is the true story, is he like disregarded Serena, and he just totally went all in on Venus. But could you blame him at that time? Who knows? But I felt like that coach was taking him down a correct path. And Richard, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know how accurate the movie is, but it was just his character. In the beginning, I rooted for him. He's trying to protect his daughters. He's got these gang members that are they're beating him up. It's not a good scene. They did a good job of portraying the neighborhood, and then the one neighbor called like CPS on him and stuff. I was in for him at the beginning of the movie, but the more it went on, I'm like, this is all about this guy's ego. He kind of redeems himself at the end because he shows that he does care for his daughters. And I never really questioned whether he cared for his family in this movie, but there were times where I'm just like, man, I got to root for this guy. I don't want to root for this guy. And I was happy. Yeah. There's a couple scenes where his wife kind of puts him in his place, rightfully so. And then also she's like, hey, I'm just as invested in this as you. I will say that both Air and King Richard had very strong performances from the actresses in this. I thought that both the girls that played Serena and Venus respectively did a great job, and I thought that Mrs. Williams, whoever played Mrs. Williams, did a great job as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought the women definitely carried this movie.
Yes.
Anjanou Ellis Taylor played Brandy Williams. Sanaya Sidney played Venus, and Demi Singleton played Serena. And those three carried this film, I thought. The focus was on Richard. I don't know if that's how it was played out in the movie or in script when they agreed to make this movie. I'm not sure if their focus was supposed to be Richard, but it turned out it kind of was, but in a way it wasn't because of how well carried the women of this film portrayed their roles as in the story.
Yeah, and I have never really been the biggest John Bernthal fan. I don't know what it is. There's something about him that just kind of irks me. But in this movie, I thought he did a pretty good job, and also was, did a good job of portraying the frustration that it must have been trying to deal with this guy, but ultimately he does, because he realizes that the talent is there, for the two. But the thing that was able to carry this over Moneyball for me a little bit more is there was more of that traditional. The movie grabbed me a little bit more. It got me to root for who it wanted me to root for, with the exception of Richard. There was, like I said, there was a few parts where I was rooting for Richard, but he really got under my skin a couple of times. But I'll tell you, that tennis sequence when Venus is in her first pro match and she beats the one woman and then has to go up against the number one seed.
Yep.
And I had remembered that she lost that match, but there I was on my couch, like thinking, oh, maybe she's gonna pull this out. Like maybe I was remembering this wrong. And I thought I was so disgusted when the woman went to the bathroom, quote
Yeah.
unquote. And I was like, is there really no rule against that? But it was, there was just movies though. It cuts to John Bernthal. John Bernthal might be the unsung hero of this movie for me, with the exception of the women. I think all the women, powerful performances, great job. But John Bernthal, during that match, he goes, the number one seed, she hits like a button. It cuts to him. She hits a shot and it cuts to him and he goes, "Oh, come on, it's a can of corn."
Come on, it's a can of corn.
Yeah, with his accent. Oh man, that got to me. That got to me. It was pretty funny.
Dustin, I'm going to put a challenge to you for Halloween. You have to dress up as Rick Macy.
Oh man,
mustache. Get the mustache. You gotta get the tracksuit. You get the shorts. You gotta get the wig and the tennis shoes.
All right, and I'll just show up.
You gotta do this, and you gotta do the accent too.
I'll show up with some fries. I'll be like, "Don't put too many of these in your body.
It's bad for you."
Oh man. Oh geez. But yeah, I overall I would still put Air at number one. Air just had a special quality. This movie to me, had I seen it in the theater, I think I would have been like, oh, this is a bit too long. But since I was on my couch, I was able to pause it, at certain points, go get something to eat, whatever. I think I did enjoy this movie. Not as much as I wanted to, but it had enough in there, and I think it did a good job. The one thing I liked is how it addressed some of the issues that they faced. Because it was more subtle about it. It was just like a huge overtone for the whole movie. It wasn't like they had a couple of lamppost scenes where they're trying to beat you over the head with it, which
right.
I don't like in some movies where they really like it, like that one scene in Moneyball that I kept saying, like they had the thing where Jonah Hill shows up to Oakland and then all the banners are coming down. It's like, all right, we get it. We get what you're trying to do here. But this movie didn't have as much of that. But there were times where I just felt bad for Venus and Serena, because it was just the maniacal drive he had. And I guess he instilled it in both of them, and also their mother. She was no slouch. She was out there coaching Serena up when, and she says at one point, she said, "I fixed Serena's serve.
I fixed her serve." Yeah.
But then all of a sudden he decides, when somebody else is coaching him, when Rick Macy, and before them, the other coach is trying to get things moving, he's going, "No, they need to be kids. They need to be kids." And it's like, all right, well, which is it? Because you had them out there like 8 and 10, hitting balls every day, and some parts in the rain, what are you trying to do? So.
Did you happen to notice a bit of foreshadowing in one of the scenes?
Okay, all right. Since you have to ask me, I'm gonna say probably not, unless you, I mean, expound, because you're gonna have to explain it, and then I'll be like, oh.
So, the scene where they went to the juniors tournament for Venus, and Serena had snuck herself into a 9 and under tournament.
Oh yeah.
Serena won. I think Serena won second place in her category, and Venus won first place in her category, and they had gold and silver trophies.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, you want to trade?"
Yeah.
And I think Serena, was either Serena or Venus said. I think it was Serena who said, "Okay, yeah, gold's more my color anyway," because she won gold medal into the 2012 Olympics in London.
Okay.
In the singles competition, and they both won gold in doubles categories from 2000, I think 2000, 2008. 2000, let's see. Yeah, Venus won gold in 2000 in singles and doubles, and she won gold in doubles in Beijing and London, and silver in mixed doubles in 2016. Serena won gold in, where is it? Hang on. Venus won gold in no, that was Serena, not for all those. Venus won gold, or Serena won gold in doubles in Sydney, Beijing, and London, and she won her singles gold in London. So they both won gold eventually.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting that I think it was Serena who said gold's more my color anyway. And
Yeah,
or interesting
I'm trying to
foreshadow
remember
into the future.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I did not pick up on that, but I do remember the scene, and I think it was, it was either that Serena said she liked gold and better anyway,
or was Venus who said I like silver. Silver's more my color.
One of them said this, but yeah, I did not pick up on that. So that's next level. That's why you're one of the best in the biz.
Bah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, this movie was a little slow, but I still enjoyed it. It had enough of the scenes to carry me, and it had enough of those like sports movie moments where you're like, "Oh man, are they gonna do this?" And the classic sign of a good sports movie, at least, and tell me if you agree with this, is that a movie that you've seen many, many times, like I don't know, I'm trying to come up with, but when I was a kid, The Mighty Ducks, which I've seen recently.
The Replacements.
Oh yeah, The Replacements. That's a good one.
It's also based on a true story.
Where you're always wondering, you've seen it 1,000 times. You know how it's going to turn out, but you still catch yourself getting that little bit of nerve. Yeah. Are they going to do it? And they do. But if you get that feeling, then to me, the movie's at least got you.
Yeah, anytime The Replacements is on TV, I have to watch it. I actually watched it in the theater. I went to see it with my brother Jim. I think when it came out. I think it was 2000 or 1999.
Yeah, I would say
late 90s, early 2000s when it came out. We went to see it together.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2000 because I feel like it had that. Yep, 2000 film, The Replacements. Yep. There we go. So you were right on the money there, right in the ballpark.
Yeah, I think I saw it with my brother Jim at the time. I was still living at my parents' house in Waterford at that time.
Yeah. Now he that scene where he throws the football underwater at the beginning.
Shane Falco's back to pass.
Shane Falco. Oh man, that is a good movie.
Yeah, it's based on the Washington Redskins during when they became the Replacements in 1987.
Oh yeah.
It's just, you know what? It's too bad that they haven't gotten their Super Bowl ring. They never got their Super Bowl rings, Dustin.
Oh, wow.
Never got their Super Bowl rings, and it's a damn shame. To this day, they still haven't gotten them 37 years later after they won all 4 of their games.
Yes,
they faced the mighty Dallas Cowboys, many of them who crossed the picket line and beat them on Monday Night Football. Never got a Super Bowl ring. Shame.
Yeah, shame. That is. I mean, and especially back then, 4 games was a huge part of the season. Yeah. It still is, but there were less games back then. So
I remember they canceled week 5, I think it was. They canceled week 5, and I remember it being the most boring Sunday ever in the history of ever. I was 10 years old. I'm like, where's football? My dad's going, no football today, Ryan. Get outside and rake those leaves.
No, that's why you were bored.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
That's why you were bored there.
Kids, never tell your parents you're bored because they will put you to work.
Oh, yeah.
All right, before we take our first commercial break, we're going to take a visit to the comment section. Victor Locke says, in my opinion, Will Smith should have won the Oscar for Pursuit of Happiness rather than this movie. Yeah, I felt like him winning for King Richard was a makeup for him not winning the Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes, I mean, I much prefer the Pursuit of Happiness to this movie for sure. So I would agree with you there.
All right, so let's take our first commercial break. This message is from Manscaped, and we'll return to No Credentials Required.
Spring has sprung, and our friends at Manscaped have the best tools for some spring cleaning. They've already helped you tidy up all the nooks and crannies of your body's basement, but this year Manscaped can help you get the perfect presentation on that beautiful face with the new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Make sure you look your best this spring by using code BELLY20 to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. So tame your mane with the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. The sun is peeking back out, which means you'll have to show your face in the daylight again. So use the kit to make sure your scruff looks award-winning, whether you have glorious beard flow or some smooth, sleek cheeks. Save 20% off and free shipping with the code BELLY20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code BELLY20 at manscaped.com. Focus on the face and use the Beard Hedger Pro Kit for the cleanest look in the game.
That's right, folks. Manscaped, promo code BELLY20 at checkout. You can get not only the beard hedge trimmer, which trimmed this lovely mug the other day and did an effective job, as you can see, but you can also get the Lawnmower 4.0 personal trimmer to trim up those manly bits, as you would say. But you can also save some money, get 20% off your order and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use promo code BELLY20. And again, you get 20% off your order plus free shipping. Save yourself some coin, save yourself some hair on your face, on your chinny chin, or your naughty bits. And I will say, the Beard Hedger gets the no credentials required seal of approval.
That's a
No, it
coveted
will not make
seal.
the noise.
That's a
Yes, it
coveted
is.
seal.
It's a cute little seal too.
Yes. Yeah.
And no, I will not make the noise. Made it once. Actually, I've made it twice. I made a fool of myself at your sister's house. Never again.
I don't think I remember the second time. Who convinced you?
It was Nicole. It was Nicole who convinced me to make that noise. Like, what's this? What's the noise the seal makes? And I make the noise. She goes, "Oh, I was just kidding. I know what noise a seal makes." Son of a got me there. Fooled me once.
Sometimes
Shame on
people will
me.
get you. People will get you.
All right, we're going to get some NFL news. We had some late news yesterday about Deandre Hopkins, a two-time Pro Bowler for the Houston Texans, and recently the Arizona Cardinals was released by the Cardinals a couple months back. I've been touring different teams in the NFL, but they finally decided on the Tennessee Titans 2-year, $26 million contract. That's a incentive-laden contract. Base salary is $12 million a year, and again, plus incentives if he reaches certain goals in his contract. Dustin, what's your feeling about this particular deal?
Well, this deal, and I've always trusted Deandre Hopkins' ability, but he has tailed off a little bit, and he's also had the injuries and some suspension issues. And the reason that I wanted to discuss this a little bit was to get your thoughts, because I know they're different situations. I know that the Titans ended up trading AJ Brown, if I remember correctly, to the Eagles, or was that just a free agent signing? It was
that was a draft day trade in 2022.
Yes. So somebody tweeted, and they must have been a Titans fan, maybe. But I was scrolling through Twitter, and I got the news that DeAndre Hopkins had agreed to terms with the Titans, and somebody said, wouldn't it have been easier for them to just pay AJ Brown? And it did make me wonder, because
thanks, Captain Hindsight.
like AJ Brown is younger, he's younger. He's a bona fide star. You had it and if you wanted a marquee receiver, you had him. You had him right there. Now I understand there's cap issues. There's different things, but you had him. And there's a part of me that can't help but think you traded to go get an older version of him. Now, DeAndre Hopkins, there's some coaching ties, because I think the OC of the Titans, if I remember, DeAndre Hopkins had some of his best seasons with the Texans when this OC was on the Texans coaching staff. There's also ties with Mike Vrabel there. But We know the Tennessee Titans, we know where their bread is buttered. They run the ball with Derrick Henry. Maybe this is them signaling, this our running back, although he's elite, he's getting older. We got to start opening up the passing game more. But I don't know if Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback to do that. Although DeAndre Hopkins has proven that he can play with any quarterback throughout his career because
Right.
I mean, who did they have at the beginning of his career in the Texans? I mean, I know obviously had that season.
Deshaun Watson.
Yes, they had Deshaun.
Matt Schaub.
Yeah, Matt Schaub, which I don't know if Matt Schaub is better than Ryan Tannehill. I'd probably give the slight edge to Tannehill in this one, although I think Matt Schaub probably threw a better deep ball. But I haven't been sitting here breaking down Matt Schaub film, so forgive me. It's been a while since I've seen him, but this deal just doesn't make sense to me. And there was a part of me that said, "Oh, he's going to sign with the Patriots, and then it's going to be ridiculous because he's going to magically bounce back." So as a Jet fan, I'm sure you're happy to see him sign with the Titans. But what are your thoughts on this deal?
I think it was a risk. I think it's a risk for the Titans personally. The contract's too big. His skills have declined. He's too injury prone now. Plus, he had that 6-game suspension last season for PED related causes. In my mind, I saw a lot of Jets fans who wanted the Jets to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, great, but with what's scratch? At the time, they were dealing with Quinnen Williams' contract extension, which, by the way, great job on that, New York Jets. Thank you for signing him.
The bag, like you said you wanted.
They did give him the bag, but it was a good deal because this year he's only making I think he's only making $6 million this year. But after that, the average value of his contract is $15 million, and $66 million of his $96 million contract is guaranteed. So, what are you going to do? But back to DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, this was a kind of a reach for the Titans in my mind. They've had some trouble. I wouldn't say trouble, but they have a history of signing wide receivers on the back nine of their career. Yeah. Look at Julio Jones. He was supposed to be a big difference for the Titans in 2021, I believe.
I think so.
Was injured most of the year. Andre Johnson. Randy Moss.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you forget Randy Moss played for the Titans? I did
was
too.
Getting to them. I was getting there. But they have a history of signing these receivers on the back nine of their career and not developing receivers. I mean, yeah, they've got Treylon Burks, who's a rookie last season. Mm-hmm. He showed some promising signs that he's going to be a good receiver, but they need someone complimentary. And I also think that Hopkins signed with the Titans because of his run blocking ability. He's actually a very effective run blocker, and he's just one more guy who can block for Derrick Henry. So, I mean, at the rate that Derrick Henry's going, I don't know how long he can keep carrying the ball for the Titans. And yes, it gives Ryan Tannehill another wide receiver to throw to. But again, it's a wide receiver on the back nine of his career. And after this deal, if his 2 years is up, who knows if he's gonna be in the league anymore. So it's a bit of a reach in my mind. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, a wise man once said, the most predictable thing about the future is that it's unpredictable. So we don't know what this move could turn out to be for the Titans. It could make a dividend. We could see Back to the Future. We could have Hopkins go back in the Wayback Machine and have those 100 reception, 1,500 yard seasons like he used to have, but he hasn't had that since 2020. Yeah. So it's a bit of a risk. It's a bit of a risk. And if you want more information about the DeAndre Hopkins signing, Nathan Nguyen wrote a really good article breaking down the details of DeAndre Hopkins and what this contract means for the Titans at bellyupsports.com. So go ahead and check that out. It's a really good article. I highly recommend it for a breakdown of this deal.
Yeah, I mean, the only scenario I see where it could work out, and I don't know I don't know enough about Hopkins as a player and whether he'd be willing to do this, but one of the reasons that Larry Fitzgerald is one of my favorite receivers of recent memory is because Larry Fitzgerald, he moved to the slot when he started to get older. He moved to the slot and he learned how to do that, and he continued to eviscerate corners out of the slot for, I mean, what, another 6 years, something like that, and so I could see if they went to Deandre and they said, hey, you got to move to the slot and see if you can adjust, because then I think he could do some damage in there at his, I mean, I am much older than Deandre Hopkins, so I don't want to say at his advanced age, but compared to some other people, he's a veteran now.
Yeah. He's been in the league for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So moving away from the DeAndre Hopkins signing, and a lesser extent the Quinnen Williams signing, and also I am kind of glad that the Patriots did not sign DeAndre Hopkins, even though I don't think he would have fit in that offense. I know he's familiar with Bill O'Brien, but Mac Jones is not Deshaun Watson. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So we're moving out of that, and we're moving into this. I guess you would say, I wouldn't say debate, but discussion about 3 free agent running backs who have had some productive seasons, but have kind of transitioned into I don't know. I guess you could say that they're a little bit older, like DeAndre Hopkins is, and their role has sort of diminished. So we got Leonard Fournette, we've got Dalvin Cook, and we've got Ezekiel Elliott. And we kind of had this discussion. We're starting to get into this discussion a little bit on text message form. And we wanted to see, we're going to talk about who we think is going to sign first, who's going to sign with the team first of these 3 running backs. And again, this is Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, and Ezekiel Elliott. Dustin, who do you think is going to be the first one to sign out of all those 3 free agent running backs?
Well, there's also a 4th in there. Kareem Hunt is also a free agent.
Okay.
And those, and I got to give, and I know you're not going to like me giving the shout out here because he's been unflattering to your New York Jets. But the reason that I started asking this question to you is because Bill Barnwell wrote an article breaking down why there might be a decline in the value of running backs. And it was an interesting article to read, and full disclosure, it was one of the few articles I've been able to read for free on ESPN. It's why I stopped going there as a side. I don't want to pay for ESPN Plus to read articles. I'm sorry, but
I'll pay to watch stuff, but I won't pay to read stuff.
Exactly. So, but the question in my mind started to be, well, these guys, because I'm guilty of it too. I looked at Zeke Elliott and I'm thinking, oh, he's ancient. And so Zeke Elliott is 27.
Hey.
He is 27, as is Dalvin Cook, as is Kareem Hunt. Leonard Fournette is older than them at 28. So all of these guys are under 30. I remember back in the day, it used to be, once a running back is over 30, you're in trouble. Now it seems like once a running back is over 25, teams are like, oh boy, we got to start. I mean, look what happened with Saquon Barkley today. They failed to reach an extension. He's 26 years old.
Yeah, same with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I know. And I know part of it with Saquon maybe could be the injury that he had a few years ago, but it just seems like running backs. So I think if I had to guess, I'll tell you the first one that I would sign. If somebody said to me, you are now the GM of the Seattle Seahawks and you got to sign one of these 4 guys, I am signing Kareem Hunt. And I'm going to tell you why, because Kareem Hunt, who's he run behind in Cleveland for the last couple of seasons?
Nick Chubb.
That is correct. Kareem Hunt has not gotten as much work because Nick Chubb, he has missed some stretches, but he's not, Kareem Hunt is 27, but his legs are probably to use an old cliche, his legs are probably like more like 26, 25 because he hasn't been a full-time running back the last couple of seasons. Not to mention the issues that he had in Kansas City, and I believe he was suspended. But I'm not talking about the off-field issues that he had. I think Kareem Hunt would be a smart signing, especially. He's also somebody that's proven he can be a complementary back with somebody else in the backfield, which is the majority of the NFL wants to run a system like that nowadays anyway. The days of the bell cow running back are gone. Derrick Henry is the lone throwback to that, and he's killing the game now. So I'm kind of hoping that he continues to do it.
And to an extent, Breece Hall.
Yes,
but we haven't had
a
bigger. He was a rookie. He was a rookie last year, so and we haven't had a sample size like we've had with Derrick Henry. So, but I believe Breece Hall is going to be ready for Week 1. That's what the Jets have been saying all along, which would be huge for their offense. But if I were the GM of the New York Jets, and some have said that I bear a striking resemblance to one Joe
Douglas, yeah,
I would go with Dalvin Cook.
Okay,
and the primary reason why I would have Dalvin Cook is his breakaway speed ability. He can, with just if he hits the hole just right, he's a cloud of dust right afterwards, and we don't see that a whole lot anymore.
No,
but the only concern I would have is his shoulders seem to give him such an issue. He has such an issue with his running style that his shoulders have turned to sawdust. I mean,
yes,
usually it's the knees that go first for running backs. For Dalvin Cook, it's his shoulders. So he's got relatively fresh legs based on the fact that he's been on the sideline so much with his injuries, but those injuries are mostly upper body. They're not lower body. So the way his running style is just it's a brutal run style. But once he gets in the open field, I mean, look out.
Yeah, he was definitely my number 2. And on your New York Jets, along with Breece Hall, that would be something. The only thing that concerns me about Dalvin is his injury history, and then also the Vikings used him. The Vikings used him an awful lot, as they should have. But also in short bursts, we've seen Alexander Mattison also run very well in Minnesota. So how much of that is attributed to Minnesota's offensive line?
I mean, to be fair, Dalvin Cook was used a whole lot under Mike Zimmer. Under Kevin O'Donnell, it was kind of a two running back system with Madison. So but when Dalvin Cook was injured, we'd see Dalvin Cook mostly in the lineup as a starter. But when he was injured, you saw Madison more in the lineup. So if you have a bell cow running back like Breece Hall as your primary running back, and you use Dalvin Cook in special situations, because Breece Hall's dual threat running back. I thoroughly believe, and I said this on Snowman this morning in the Coffee with McCarthy segment, I thoroughly believe that we could see Breece Hall as a 1,000 running back in the NFL. He just needs to stay healthy. 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. I thoroughly believe we could see that. He can be 1,000 in his career, provided he stays healthy. I don't know. We've only seen a small sample size of what he can do in the 6 weeks that he was healthy. We know what he's capable of. He just needs to stay healthy. But if he should go down with an injury, or if they have special situations where the Jets if the Jets are on 2nd and 3 and they need short yardage and could possibly get more, that's when you bring in a Dalvin Cook to eat up those yards and get Breece Hall back in the lineup. Ezekiel Elliott, I think his days are done.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I'm not a hater of Zeke. It's just that Ezekiel Elliott, and I am not an NFL expert. I am not like someone who can break down all this game film. We've got some people on our. We've got people all over the Belly Up Sports Network that know more about football than I do. But to my eyes, he just looks done. he
Yeah.
he can still succeed in some short yardage situations, and who knows, maybe if somebody signed him to be a goal line back, but
That's what I was thinking too.
yeah, I don't know if he's going to want to do that. And to some degree too, Leonard Fournette, he's slightly older than Ezekiel Elliott, but I remember the force he was at LSU, and he just doesn't look like that guy anymore.
Yeah. When he came out of LSU, the scouts defined him as an angry runner.
Yeah.
And he demonstrated it with the Jaguars and to a lesser extent with the Buccaneers. I mean, he was the primary back in Tampa Bay, but he's also had his slew of injuries. Same with Ezekiel Elliott. They both had their slew of injuries. They've both been on kind of a downward decline. I mean, also, let's not forget last season with the Buccaneers how atrocious their offensive line is. They lost Ryan Jensen for the season in the preseason, and they just couldn't get it together. I mean, they got it together because of Tom Brady, Patrick Edward Brady II, but at the same time, they really didn't have a running game. So, I mean, part of it because Fournette seemed to be hurt every other week with a different injury. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely in short yardage situation, but you also got to figure Ezekiel Elliott's got to have that payday, so he's got to have that payday mentality. Oh, I was the guy who made the big bucks. I was the guy who made the most money. I led the NFL in rushing yards two of the first three seasons I played, but ever since then, his yardage, his carries have been declined because partially because of injury, partially because of the emergence of Tony Pollard, who also did not extend his contract.
Yeah,
he did not come to terms this afternoon. So
what's
also really amazing is that for as much money as the NFL has and the technology we have today, they're still using faxes. Like you have to have your tender offered tender at 4 p.m. via fax on this day. And it's like, what is this, the mid-90s?
I know. I can picture some dusty executive in some old NFL office just pounding his fist on the table. We just got our Xerox fax machines fixed. We need to use them.
Damn it, they didn't get till 4:01 p.m. The tender is done.
Man.
But yeah, it's interesting to see that it's just interesting that those four names have been just kind of out there in the ether, wandering around, waiting for somebody to pick them up.
And like I said, I think you correctly identified. To me, there's a case of 2 and 2 here. Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott, rightly or wrongly, seem to be, at least to us, in one class, and then. To me, but I'm shocked that nobody has gone after Kareem Hunt or Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, I do think, is the better running back of the two, but I also just feel like Kareem Hunt has shown that he still has amazing talent when he's been given his opportunities, and the fact that his legs have less miles on them, I would have figured that some NFL team would bring him in, but so far it hasn't happened.
Yeah, I mean, one more thing I wanted to mention before we take our next commercial break. On Saturday, on Friday, there was a graphic made by CBS NFL on CBS's Twitter account. It says top potential landing spots for Josh Jacobs. You know who they put first as the number one potential landing spot for Josh Jacobs? The Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh my God, that would be ridiculous.
They just acquired DeAndre Swift during the draft.
Yeah.
Did they not do their research before they stretched for engagement?
That would be, because that was the thing, because Miles Sanders is
he's a Panther.
Yeah, that's right. He's in Carolina now. Now because he was talking about how much he liked the look of the rookie quarterback they've got there now.
CJ Stroud.
Yes, he was.
Well, not CJ Stroud, the other guy from Alabama. I can't remember his name.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we're getting them all because CJ Stroud is on the Texans, right?
Yeah, CJ Stroud's on the Texans.
Panthers.
Bother. I can't remember his name.
I know. This
I can't remember his name.
Rookie QB. Hold on. Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
There we go. God. There we go. There we go. But
see, folks, real-time research during the show.
We're live right now. This is not on a tape delay. We are live.
No, we are definitely live. All right, so we'll take one more commercial break before we go into our next event. When we come back, we're going to play some more questions for humans, Guys Night Edition, right here on No Credentials Required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, we can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. That's right, folks. $20 off, or 20% off your first purchase of $50 at checkout with promo code BellyUpSports at SeatGeek.com. Listen, you might be in the market for a baseball game, or hey, football season's coming up. You might want to get yourself to a game. I'm definitely getting kind of itchy about possibly going to a Jets game this year. I also know my New Jersey Devils are going to be playing, starting up playing in October. They're playing the Chicago Blackhawks at the Rock in early January, and I got a feeling I'm probably going to go to that game.
You want to check out Connor Bedard, huh?
I want to check out Connor Bedard. That's right. So I can get myself some tickets and save 20% off my first order of $50 or more with promo code BellyUpSports at checkout for SeatGeek.com. It's SeatGeek.com. Use promo code BellyUpSports, and save 20% off your first order of $50 or more. Actually, before we get to our next segment, let's go visit the comment section. Sick Diggy checking out all the way from Norway, friend of the show. Says, "What's good, everybody?" Sick, thanks for joining us.
Hey, nice to see you.
Snowman says, "Hey," and he also says, "None of them get signed."
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're the GM, you're just saying none, huh?
So he's like, none of them. But he's also a 49ers fan, so he's got Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. So
yeah, he's all right.
He's got a wealth of talent there, so I'm not gonna bother with that.
He's all right, but yeah, I don't know. You using the promo to get money off your tickets to go to Jets games to see Breece Hall running in the backfield next year. You know what that is? To quote Rick Macy, it's a can of corn.
It's a can of corn. I think we found our episode title there, Dustin.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of tickets, so I don't know if you saw Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest soccer player in the world, is now with Major League Soccer, and with Inter Miami. 20,000 people showed up for his introductory press conference yesterday. I mean, I remember watching the New York Cosmos documentary I think it was called Once in a Lifetime, but the New York Cosmos back in the day when they were spending loads and loads of money to sign Pele and Franz Beckenbauer and a bunch of other dudes. I remember that the press conference in New York City, it filled up the entire restaurant. Just reporters upon reporters upon reporters. Wow. 20,000 people.
Yeah.
For the introductory press conference for Lionel Messi. Now I went to Ticketmaster this afternoon. I went to NewYorkRedBulls.com, looked at their website. Inter Miami FC is coming to town. Going to play at New York Red Bull Arena on August 26th. Guess how much the cheap seats are?
Oh, man. Okay.
One ticket for the cheap seats.
One ticket to MLS. Okay, so what's all right? You got to give me a little bit because I'm uneducated. What's like the normal price of a MLS ticket?
Okay, so for the game before on August 20th, when they played DC United, which is a rivalry game, the cheapest seat I saw was $22.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. So the cheapest seat. I'm going to say the cheapest seat is $75. Oh, man. I'm way off.
Keep going.
$120.
Keep going.
Oh, wow. $175.
Keep going.
$225.
Keep going.
All right, the cheapest seat in the house?
Cheapest seat in the house.
Is it $350?
It's not Tree Fitty.
All right.
A little lower than Tree Fitty.
All right.
Ain't no Loch Ness Monster asking for tickets.
All right. Hold on. Okay. I'll do 275.
Close.
Okay. 250.
All right. I'll give it to you. 200. This is with fees. $289 for one ticket in the cheap seats.
Goodness.
Now, the most expensive ticket, field level section. I think it was section 126, row 1.
Oh man! All right, that's got to be like $2,000. Higher or lower? Oh, $4,000. Oh man. All right. Last guess here. 10 G's.
10 G's.
Oh man.
One ticket.
Oh man.
See Lionel Messi and Inter Miami FC.
That is power.
At Red Bull Arena. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No kidding.
Oh, wow.
And apparently they're only right now they're the worst team in the league. They're only drawing like 7,000 people at their soccer stadium in Miami. That's going to fill up quickly.
Oh yeah. Jeez. That's going to be, especially in a town like Miami where everybody, people joke that, there's so much other things to do in Miami that it's not really like that known as a sports town. That'll be an attraction for sure. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. 6 says if this was a major club in Europe, the stadium would have been filled to the brim for his unveiling. Yeah, absolutely. And he also says, in which stadium is this for? The cheap seats are nearly $300. This is for one game, Sick. This is for New York Red Bulls against Inter Miami at Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey. Usually the most expensive, and again, I'm just going for comparison here. The most expensive ticket, the previous game for their Atlantic Cup rivalry with DC United, the most expensive ticket is $111. For this game against Inter Miami, it's $10,000.
That's insane.
The Lionel Messi effect.
Yeah, man.
All right. So now that we have completely blown our minds with these ticket prices, let's play some questions for podcasters, aka questions for humans. Guys Night. Shout out to Dr. John Deloney. So I'm going to give you this question, Dustin.
All right.
What was your neighborhood like growing up?
Oh man. Okay. So full. I'm gonna have to go. I'm going with one neighborhood, and I'm going with the neighborhood that I spent most of my life in. Technically, I lived in 2 growing up, but the first one was in Latham. Nice neighborhood from what I remember, but I only spent the first 5 to 6 years of my life there. Most of growing up, my neighborhood, it was idyllic for me. I grew up on a dead end, a circle. I had my
cul-de-sac.
I had my best friend living up the street. We would have sleepovers. Like there was a time where we would just alternate weekends of, okay, who's staying at whose house tonight? I mean, I felt like his family, I spent more time growing up with his family than I spent at my dad's house. We got, it was where part of my love of video games blossomed, was from watching them play and playing with them. We used to play street hockey in the street. It was a good neighborhood. It was definitely a good neighborhood. We lived close enough to where I could walk to school for my elementary school, even though my mother would not let me do that, even though I very much wanted to. But to me, it was a good place to grow up. And it was a little like isolated as you can be in suburbia. I had a big yard growing up, almost an acre in suburbia, which is almost unheard of here. I don't know. I just really enjoyed growing up there. And I always thought that I was going to try to live like a neighborhood over or something. It was a nice area. But I really enjoyed it. But I guess, how about you? We'll let you answer that one as well.
Yeah, so I was originally born in New Jersey, and I spent the first 7 years of my life in this little neighborhood in New Jersey. We lived in an upstairs apartment. Me and my three siblings, my mom and my dad. We didn't have a yard. We played mostly in the streets. We'd play football in the street. Game off, game off, game
Oh
on,
yeah,
game on.
car.
Yeah, car.
Yeah.
We play wiffle ball in the street. One of our friends had a pretty decent yard, but it was always full of dog crap. So we tried to like play landmine, and we tried to get out of the way.
Yeah.
But then we moved to New York in 1985, and we had our first yard, like a first like legitimate yard. We befriended these kids down the road a little bit. They lived in the cul-de-sac, and we played in the neighborhood. We went to church together. We tried to play with the kids down the street a little bit more, but they're a little bit rough and tumble, a little bit gritty. My parents didn't really weren't really huge fans of theirs.
Huh?
No, so no, but it was a good neighborhood. We got to play typical after school activity, play football, play soccer, play a little baseball, play some kickball.
Oh yeah, kickball. Kickball
Yep.
was big. I was going to ask you if you didn't mention that one.
Oh, yeah.
Kickball was big.
Yeah, kickball was huge. So play a little basketball. We played different types of sports to keep ourselves active and keep ourselves out of trouble. And occasionally we would get into trouble, but
Yeah.
well, as you would when you're kids.
Mhm.
But no, that's what kind of neighborhood we lived in from in upstate New York when we moved up here. So it's good. It was a good neighborhood.
Yeah, sounds like we both had decent places to grow up, and my sister
Yeah.
my sister lives in the very house now.
Yeah.
Through a few circumstances, but no, it was good. I realized how lucky I was to grow up where I did with the yard that I did, and also with the resources that I had.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
Mhm.
All right, your turn.
All right, I got kind of a. It's a good one, but I don't really know how I'm going to answer it, so I'll first throw it to you. Would you last longer in a fight with a grizzly bear or a gorilla?
Wow.
I know.
I would probably last longer in a fight with a grizzly bear.
See that? Yeah. Now what makes you think that? Because that after I read the card, I did read it before the show. I did draw it and I read it before the show because I want to make sure. Ever since that first week where I got the one, when's the last time you cried your eyes out?
You gave me the deep one. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I know. But what makes you go on Camp Grizzly Bear here?
See, with grizzly bears, they get taller when they feel threatened. They grow taller. So I would probably have a better chance of exhausting it while just kind of dodging and dipping and dodging. And yeah, it might get me. It might get me sometimes with a clubbing blow. Might cut me open cut me open in some parts with their sharp claws. But the gorilla is more centered to the lowest, they have a lower center of gravity, and they will literally tear you apart.
Yes, that's.
But I feel like the grizzly bear, if you're more elusive when they're standing tall, because they get up to like I think 8 or 9 feet tall when they stand. So I think I'd have a better chance of survival against the grizzly bear than a gorilla.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Now let's not get it twisted. Either one of these tries to fight me, I'm dying. But I think I could last a little bit longer against the grizzly bear. Like you're saying, maybe try to outmaneuver them. Now I don't subscribe to the thing. Have you ever heard? Oh, all you have to do is hit them in the face. Hit him on the nose with something and they'll instantly, be. And I'm like, no.
I've heard that about a shark, but not a grizzly bear.
All right. I could be conflating two different things, but I'm with you. The gorilla, they're like more powerful versions of us. And I feel, and I feel like too, they have
They'll rip your face off.
Yes.
And eat it in front of you.
Yeah. They're just going to take you down. I mean, yeah, I'm team grizzly bear all day. Now I don't have the illusions that one person did, Grizzly Man, where he thought he was one of them, and we saw how that ended. So I wouldn't try to befriend them. That would not be my modus of attack. But yeah, I think the gorilla overall is just like, we're talking like a silverback or something. It would just destroy you.
Yeah, and it would rip your face off your face, eat it in front of you, and then punch you to death. Then rip open your chest cavity or your abdominal cavity and eat your innards while you're
yeah.
That was basically what happened. Same thing with a grizzly bear, but I feel like it could last a little bit longer with a grizzly bear.
Yes, I think so. I am not, and I like how the card said last longer, because I would not win. Although apparently my dad was telling the story. Apparently my dad wrestled a bear. It was like at a carnival type thing. It was in like a setting. This bear was obviously trained and stuff, but I'm just like, really, Dad? You got in there against a bear?
It was a bear cub.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, gorilla's gonna take me down. And while we're on it, I think a kangaroo could knock me right out.
A kangaroo could probably take me to town.
Yeah. You ever see?
I remember those Warner Brother cartoons. I remember those Warner Brother cartoons growing up, where they had the kangaroo with the boxing gloves.
Yeah.
Then he'd sit in his tail and kick.
Yeah, I would not mess with a kangaroo either, man.
All right, before we go, we'll take one more quick visit to the comment section. And our buddy Sick Diggy says, let's not forget that Messi is a very successful player. If the team has a solid squad around him, they'll be great. Well, apparently Inter Miami is last place in MLS period right now. So that's probably the reason why they signed him. But also don't forget, David Beckham is also part owner of that team. And he probably had some pull to probably bring him there.
Yeah, he might have.
He also says this is like choosing to fight either Khabib or Conor McGregor in an octagon cage.
Yeah.
I would probably last longer against Conor McGregor than Khabib. Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you, and also, not to bring it in here, but based on his team's performance on the latest season of Tough, I think that's the case. I haven't really been watching it. I used to watch Tough a lot when I was back in the day when I was a little younger, but apparently Connor's team is on the verge of getting swept. Like, they haven't won a fight yet, and he went up to him. There's one guy left on the team, and he went up to Dana White. Now, this is reality TV, so we got to keep that all in mind. But he said, you heard him kind of whisper, what happens if we get swept? And Dana was just kind of like, I don't know. It's never happened before. Like,
speaking of Tough, this is one guy I just succinctly remember. He couldn't make. This is like in the early days of
when it was on Spike, right?
And there was actually a local guy who was in the competition too. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you remember the name Matt Secor. He's from Glens Falls.
Yeah, he was a wrestler, right?
He was a wrestler and jiu-jitsu style. Mm-hmm. He won his first match I think he won his first match by submission, but he broke his hand and had to withdraw, but he could stay in the house.
Oh, okay.
Now I don't remember who was in the same season as him or the season before. There was this one fighter who couldn't make weight. So to take drastic measures into his own hands, he went for an enema.
Oh, jeez.
He still didn't make weight. So hope you enjoyed your free enema and FaceTime on national television.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Moron. All right. So before we leave, just want to remind you about our social media channels listed right down there below. Twitter, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ. Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. YouTube.com/NoCredsREQ. And if you're watching on replay or if you're watching live right now, please, 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 please do not forget to smash that like button and smash it responsibly. And also, we're on a mission to try to get to 500 YouTube subscribers. We're at 267 right now. We're just over the crest of the halfway mark. It would make a really big difference if you would to please subscribe on YouTube, because that way we get monetized and we get to make some coin. So it'd be great. On the podcast side, subscribe on a myriad of podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast. Rate and review 5 stars. It's always the preferred amount of stars for your rating, and review the podcast wherever you can. If your podcast, again, is really, really sweet or really, really nasty, we will still read it on the air. So, for my co-host, my second chair, Dustin Henry, my name is Ron McCarthy. You have been watching or listening to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. So next week we'll have our next movie review and the next installment of No Ticket Required. Talk about other things, other sports related topics, and we'll do some more Questions for Humans Guys Night Edition. Until then, take care.
It's a can of corn.
It's a can of corn.